Yes, hello, and welcome to A Celtic World, the YouTube channel and podcast that leans into the fact that Celtic have fans all over this great big planet. From Dundee to Dundrum, Coatbridge to Colombo, wherever you happen to be watching from, you're part of A Celtic World. And David in the nondescript Asia is very much part of A Celtic World. Hello, David.
Hello from Vietnam, specifically tonight.
Very good.
Hello, and let's use this as a therapy session, shall we?
Well, a lot of therapy sessions happening. You don't need practical CBT when you're on A Celtic World. Because here we are, and Brian's back for another session. Brian, you're doubling up on your sessions. Is that?
Yeah, doubling up, not doubling down though. That David, you missed an opportunity to say I'm going live from Nam. That's something I've always wanted to say. Nam.
I'm going to do that.
The movies. But yeah, good to see you guys. And anyway, Netflix. Has anyone watched the P. Diddy documentary? It's very good. For just while we're on the subject, take your mind off things. But bad man.
We will get into it, of course, all the crack. But I've just been watching a thing called Limbs in the Lock, which
Brilliant.
is about this.
Oh.
Have you seen that? Oh, you've both seen that? I'd never heard of it before.
BBC iPlayer.
Well, I don't know where I got it from. Somewhere illegal. But, they found a bunch of arms and legs up in Loch Lomond and then a head washed up on the beach in Troon. Fascinating story. I didn't know any of that.
A guy from here, wasn't it? From Northern Ireland.
From Moira.
Moira.
Yeah. Guy called Beggs. Shocking story. Absolutely unbelievable. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, but it's nice to distract ourselves, isn't it? With other things. What are we here to talk about? Well, I mean, you know the crack. It's amateur hour. Indeed, it's amateur hour to Celtic World, because I haven't said hello to everyone in the chat. So hello to everyone, all the regulars and anybody new who's joining us. If you fancy, hit a wee subscribe there at the bottom. We're about 2.2 something thousand. So with another reference to Celtic AM, David, I'm going to say we're going for 2.6 for 26. That's our target. 2.6 thousand before 2026. So come on, you guys, like and subscribe. My phone keeps bleeping.
We shout out to our pal Paul, who's recovering as well. You might be going to do that. Let's shout out Paul.
Yeah. Paul is recovering from knee surgery. All right, so this is the thumbnail. Those are like the haunted eyes of Johnny Kenny there, who must be realizing that he is not at this level. That's my thought when I see that. And of course, our illustrious manager in the front there, who we're going to talk about at great length. But before we do any of that, I think what we should really talk about, what's probably bigger news, is the whole Peter Lawwell situation. Peter Lawwell has announced that he's stepping down, or Celtic have announced that he's to step down as non-executive chairman. And that is the news. Now let's see what the reaction is to this. Fitzy saying there, I'd like to take a wee second to say thank you to Peter Lawwell. Thank you for fucking off, you fud. Managers come and go, but this fella's been around the club in a couple of times now for in different iterations. So this is probably bigger news. Lawwell now retires to spend time with his all-important bank balance. Has made millions out of managing Celtic's decline while keeping his billionaire boss happy. A charlatan. You'll see differing views around the internet, David. What's your take on Lawwell and his legacy?
He was the man for the job at the time he took over as CEO to provide stability and a continuation of good work that had started. And then it just became this incestuous relationship of his pals, his mates, Dermot Desmond, sons of billionaires, and a board that's it's not functional. The answers to that billionaire who are scared, you could see it, and it brings you up to now and what's happening on the field. We've warned about it, told about it, it was very clear when Lawwell came back in his second term that momentum that had been created with Dominic Mackay and Postecoglou was torn away, and the re-establishment of penny pinching, finding costs everywhere, looking for a bargain, going back to tried and tested methods that they got away with. They were now truly tested. And Lawwell's legacy should have been much better than it is now had he gone some 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But I leave it with him.
Here's a wee post from Paddy Sinnott. The 2 times Peter Lawwell has resigned from Celtic, the club was failing spectacularly. This is interesting now. This is a John Yogi Hughes tweet. A retirement that was strongly rumoured during the close season. Now apparently it's due to the far-reaching abuse he received, perhaps at his home in Portugal. Cynics might think this board can't help attacking the fans and still appear oblivious as to why they're unhappy. History will determine his legacy. Now the question is here, Brian, first of all, well, what is this abuse of which they speak? The abuse and threats, is it? Have you seen that detailed anywhere, Brian?
It's just rumours of, was listening to Clyde Super's scoreboard last night, and 3 members of Celtic staff were attacked. Now, I don't know the ins and outs and the whys and wherefores, but the way I'm sure, I don't know, getting into any legal wrangle here, but the way I'm hearing it is maybe somebody's pointed a finger and done that to somebody. I don't think it's a full-on smack in the head, but it's hard to feel sorry for millionaires. Most of the people going to the club or the fans are probably on minimum wage. And it goes with the turf. You swim with the big fish, then the odd time you're going to get bitten. And Peter Lawwell will always be remembered for the man who ruined the 10 in a row. And if I could get a job at Celtic, I would do it for free. I would do it for the love, from my heart. And it's not the club that I love anymore. And a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about when Martin left, and I felt really emotional and sad when Martin left, because there was a leader there. There was somebody who could galvanise us, and it's going to get worse. Unfortunately, this is only the start.
All right. Well, David, just while we have little conversations, Brian's going to make sure that his microphone doesn't rub against his shirt. It's making like a crackly noise, especially when you move. Sticking to the Lawwell story, David, before we get on to other issues. Go ahead.
So, I mean, for me, I don't know about, there's rumours about some physical attacks. This is curious. I don't get it. It would have to have happened outside of the environments of the club, because they've banned and have secured their areas to have no fans, no media engagement. Nothing has been called for at any point by the collective from any Celtic podcasts or otherwise against the board, and I'm sure everybody would abhor anything like that. It seems to me, I don't know, but if that were to be the case, then Police Scotland should deal with that. The board should not be out using that as an exit excuse for the chairman, and why that had to be the focus. There's no grace in the resignation. Where is the professionalism or just human dignity of seeking out to blame others? Right? It's like, well, how do you start to have sympathy? Of course, no physical violence, please, against anyone. But it's never been called for. So why choose a moment like this to attack the fans again?
Well, there was strong rumours, as Yogi's quote there says, that Lawwell was leaving during the year, earlier in the year. These rumours were swelling around a couple of times. And there was suggestion it was maybe due to ill health, but that was going to be the first move we saw was Lawwell stepping down. Now he's stepping down. And would you put it past this board, Brian, to try and use this as a PR exercise to vilify the dissenting fan voices?
I wouldn't put anything past this board. I really wouldn't. Just they don't understand the man on the street, the fan on the street. They just don't care. The bottom line is, if an elite manager who they didn't back, the boycotts, not a penny more campaign, where's the ambition? They're just like the emperor's new clothes. They're sitting there thinking we'll be okay, and they're actually. I'm being very calm here. They're sabotaging our club, and to me, it's treasonous what they're doing to the club. And the players are actually okay. They're not a great squad. The players are fragile, and it's almost like the perfect storm is occurring here. We've got a manager who's so aloof, we've got a board with a real disconnection, with a team that's fragile, and I don't know where we go from here. There's no people say Martin was a sticking plaster, but you're talking about physical violence. What about the emotional violence this board is doing to the 60 million fans, whatever many fans we have? It's heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's heartbreaking, and Celtic sometimes is the only good thing that people have in their life. Mm-hmm. And at this time of year, and you listen to what the homeboys are doing and all their kind of appeals, the Green Brigade doing the Christmas time. How can these guys have a sense of Christmas and all the rest of it by what they're doing to our club? And
not terribly festive. And now, 2 more points about that. He's stepping down because of some of the fans, those that are unhappy with the board. And according to Brian Wilson and Nicholson, we can only be successful going forward this season if we're unified. The implication being that this season's failures are going to be due to the fan dissent. I mean, this is one big PR exercise going on here, isn't it, David?
Well,
you're mute, David.
Unification is bodies coming together to unite as one, and it is the constant message from the board that it's the fans who need to move, and yet the fans have been the ones who have been consistently right about what's been happening to the club, and the board are slow to do anything and then are bitter when they have to do something. They are a closed club, boys club, with one female, I think, who have become docile and have no reactive ability. Nicholson is behaving like a company secretary, as always, and Lawwell probably took over. Maybe Nicholson, we saw a glimmer of it during the Dominic Mackay's time. He was excited. There was a change coming. But again, unify with what? You mean accept your way or the highway? I saw Wilson talking about, you need to give us time. We understand the change towards the latter part. Not before he'd given it into the fans about why Peter Lawwell, under these circumstances, is resigning. He's resigning because the club's a mess, again, under his watch. We are now the ones who have to do all the unifying. It's ridiculous. There has to be something of the board to show leadership, true business leadership, to take this club forward, and they are incapable of doing so. So who you want to unify with? Tell me.
Well, David, we're unified. The fans are unified.
Fans are unified.
We're unified, and and you can't put 3 or 4 minute sound bites out and then expect dialogue. There's no dialogue. There needs to be somebody who can get everyone together, maybe not in the same room, but have a conversation and say, right, guys, sort this out. This is a bloody mess.
But it's not that difficult, Brian. Like it's you saw a glimmer of it with Martin O'Neill coming back, saying long-term solution. But we saw the players happy. we saw the fans actually happy for a while and excited about football that wasn't tremendous but got us results. And we have a taste of it. I don't think this is that difficult to take a club like Celtic with the funds that it has, with the passionate fans that it has, and create something special. But there is no ambition.
There is no ambition, all right, and that leads us into this next little bit, because I wanted to talk just a bit about, you say the fans are unified, but in all of these videos, every time you see them, you'll see people in the comments, particularly after the event, less in the live chat, but I saw it in this morning's live chat on our North American show, where people will cite the trophies won under Lawwell as proof that he did a great job. You know, but I mean, how many times have we gone over it? In the same way, average players can be lucky to join a squad that's winning tons of trophies and they can amass all these medals. These directors have sat on a board during a Goldilocks period where domestic success and hence Euro qualification of some sort was a virtual shoe-in every year. Doesn't mean they're any good. They're in the right place at the right time. And, you know, obviously we deal with that, David. That message is clear in the early part of our Where's the Ambition video. So we're going to just have a quick look at that.
Good.
Instead of this settling for mediocre, imagine what we could be.
Yeah, imagine what we could be. That's our Where's the Ambition video. If you're new here and that's the first time you've seen that and you think it's good, drop us a wee subscribe. Sure, why not? There's no harm. 2.6 for 26. That's what we're going for. 2.6 thousand before the end of the year. All right, so what can we expect? Rubber Duck says even more mediocre. Well, where is this all going? Remains to be seen. But we had another bit of evidence last night with the game, so let's get into that. First of all, the team lineup, Brian. What did you think when you saw this? Anything jump out at you?
No, nothing really. Well, obviously the two Tuneki and Balakwisha were away, so couldn't be included in the team. So To be honest with you, Gav, don't even care. I was surprised to see Schmeichel in nets because he's been horrible for the last couple of games. Ralston got the jersey again after doing the Gary Owen.
Right.
Glad to see
Ralston and
Bernardo in.
Bernardo. Yeah,
Glad
they
to
were
see
the two
Bernardo
things that
in.
jumped out at me.
Yeah.
Ralston and Bernardo. All right, let's fly through the picks. I watched the game this morning. Got up early, watched it, and well, it was an absolutely great first half. Really enjoyable watch, I have to say. I thought it was very good. And then at halftime, I'm just thinking, I've no idea what's going to happen at this point. Either we're going to go on and do well and it's the start of the Nancy era, or they're going to get back into it and we're going to collapse. But anyway, start of the game, work it down the left. Come to you on this, David. Nice from McCown to release Maeda.
Tremendous,
Things
right?
are
So,
open.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Things are open
Just
on up
tremendous
here.
move, that open move. To the team formation, I mean, it's been curious about this three at the back. Paul told us that typically Nancy had been playing 4 in the MSL. This three at the back idea is to release players, extra players up, and then to come back and create a 4 when needed. And actually, for the first time in this half, I think we started to see glimmers of what that might mean for us. And certainly in the first half, the balls that were being passed, first touches, second touches were better, and they've not been in the last 3 matches. So I think we started to get a glimmer of that, and Maeda was playing to his best abilities, and obviously to take the goal was just tremendous so early on, 13th minute. So yeah, I think we started to see something.
Well, okay, well, we'll get to that. This is in the 3rd minute, this breakaway here.
Oh, this is the one to Yang.
The one to Yang, yeah, he doesn't get in the end of it, but geez, I mean, shouldn't he have?
Yang
Shouldn't he
should
have
have
got
done
on the
better.
end of that?
Yang should have got that. And I think
There are
again,
so many of these, David, so many like near misses that, you know, we could have done so much better on. This was just one of them, but you'd almost forget about this one.
that's the thing. I think it's this missing of, again, I blame the board here, and it's the selling of our out-and-out strikers because we don't have any. And having to sort of fill the team with people who haven't been getting regular places. The sharpness of the finishing just isn't there. And you've got to take those chances. So on the one hand, you're starting to see through what Nancy might be trying to do. But then with players who aren't quite either match fit or capable to play that system yet. So, and that I think was obvious from the number of times early on in the first half where balls were played, should have been put in the back of the net and weren't.
Absolutely, and Leanne's on the money here. The system created a lot of scoring chances, and the level of finishing was amateurish, which is why you know, I've titled this on YouTube something like, you know, Celtic failed to take their chances. Same old story.
Okay.
In some senses, it was
Okay.
the same old story.
To go back to Leanne, how come Johnny Kenny then scores against the Rangers? You know what I mean? At Hamden. And he
Well,
can't.
it wasn't
Well,
because
Because
of
he's motivated.
tactical
He's motivated.
masterclass.
He's motivated.
I think that's Leanne's point, is that given this tactically, the system that is being offered
Okay.
actually is to
The
create chances.
systems-
However, the players can't do it. What
Yeah.
was happening
So-
under Martin O'Neill was that it was something familiar and weren't being asked to be as creative, but simply to go over the line. I think Leanne's got it right.
Well, here's another incident. We've got a lot of photos to get through here. So, ball over the top again, this time by Cal Mack to Maeda. And then he squares it, but it's an awkward one for Kenny to do much with. Wouldn't blame him too much for that, so he can't convert there. Good hold-up play from Kenny. I'll give him credit where it's due. And then Bernardo plays it through to Hatate. Hatate's ball looked under hit to Kenny, but he showed great pace to get onto this one. Hit it straight at the keeper. This is on 7 minutes. 8 minutes, ball over the top from Bernardo to Kenny. Keeper comes out and closes it down. Started the game really well. 11 minutes, another promising moment, but United clear. 12 minutes, Dundee United give up possession, and Trusty plays this vertical central ball to Kenny, who releases Maeda, who still has a lot to do at this point. This is the goal, David, you're talking about.
Yeah.
Maeda cuts inside. He's going to shoot. No, he's not. He goes outside, twists that defender in knots, and then slots it home. As you say, that looked like the Maeda of old.
That was a tremendous goal. I mean, it really was well worked. And it was a sense of maybe we're starting to see something click here. And the only thing that I felt that became obvious was that the horseshoe at the back started to get forced in the first half, and you wanted to not see that. But other than that, I still think for the first half, there was these chances created with just the lack of finish.
Well, there was. We're 1-0 up. Brian, 13 minutes. Kenny's through. Look at the amount of daylight he's got.
Yeah.
There's nothing he can do to fuck this up. And then he takes just an awful touch that slows everything down, and they get swallowed up by defenders.
And so again, a young lad, it's confidence with him. You know, he's obviously feeling a bit, even at the press, I don't know if you know the press conference he was at, he just seemed like a rabbit in the headlights, God love him. You know, that's the team like motivation, and that kid's motivated and feels like he's top of the world. That goes in, you know. It's I don't know if anyone's played any particular sport. There's a lot to do with muscle memory and having the confidence. And if you're off your game, whether it be sales, whether it be anything in life, it's very hard to do the business when you're not confident, you know.
Okay. And then there was like a resulting sort of effort that got deflected, and the keeper eventually got a touch, and that went wide. 23 minutes, they had one of their rare forays forward, a little snapshot from Ferry. There was a big cheer after this. I don't know if you remember why. Did you see a comedy moment occurring? Anyone?
Didn't. What was that?
What was that?
Well, he boots it. It goes really high up, and it hits like the top of the stand or something. Comes down and smacks the steward on the head.
Oh,
See
brilliant.
there? That's
Didn't see
steward.
it.
And then everyone laughed. So things are all going all right here. There was this sort of scary moment where the ball ricocheted off this fella, and the way things are going, if that had gone in, it wouldn't have been a surprise. But it didn't. 30 minutes, Yang down the line to Hatate. Looks like a good cross in, but too close to the keeper. Kenny can't get in the end of it. Bernardo, who I thought had a good game.
Yeah.
Somebody earlier there in the comments saying he looked really rusty. He was off the pace. I thought he brought quite a lot. Composure. Bernardo releases Maeda on 33 minutes. Maeda crosses to Kenny, who must score this goal. David, he has to score this.
He has to score
And he
it,
doesn't.
and he doesn't.
That's the face of him. I mean, I'm not hanging him out to dry.
I don't think we
who he
can.
is. He's who he is. But, you know, the fact that we're pinning all our hopes on him, the fact that he's the tip of the spear is just appalling.
I think I think the worst thing, I didn't see it myself, but reports that he was being booed by Celtic supporters. That's a tragedy if that's the case.
I don't think he would have booed her own. You know, can't remember us.
Well, this was just something on Twitter, or not Twitter, but
no, there's bots,
Luca.
there's plants in there trying to stir trouble up.
You
We're all
reckon that's what
unified.
it is?
Yeah, that's it. Definitely, there's bots. We're unified. We're all together, regardless of the main problem is the board and his deal and all the rest of it. I back all the players. I cheer them on. Ralston, even God love him, that he tried to trap the ball, near broke his ankle in the second
I think
half.
there's been too much made of the players being not professional enough to be able to accommodate. Come on, a wee second, right? I mean, under the right management and guidance, they can do, right? I think that a lot is being asked of them with a lot of injuries, there's no striker for a start. Our defence is shaky. That puts pressure on Schmeichel. Yes, I know he's coming to the end of his career and we want to see Sinisalo out there and all the rest of it. I've got it. I can hear it all. But we've been replaying this for weeks. And first, Kenny, I blame the manager. But I then blame the board for leaving the manager and putting him into that situation. We've got to support that young lad, Kenny. Yes, he's not good enough, but there's just a wee bit too much focus on him. That's not right.
No, the focus is it's like Peter Lawwell coming out of the statement yesterday, trying to they were saying bury some bad news whenever 9/11 went out. Whenever 9/11 happened, it was a member of Labour who out and says that it's a good time to bury some bad news. So the club's in turmoil, so let's just put it out there that Peter, our beloved chairman and steward of the club and all the rest of it, because somebody said boo-hoo to him in Portugal or wherever, well, it's hard to feel sorry for millionaires. I mean, I don't even know a millionaire. Well, maybe you, Gav, you're one, aren't you? I know, I sure as hell.
Ringgit, maybe. Yeah.
And he pays for the show because we don't contribute. He pays for the show.
In Malaysian ringgit.
I know, I've got a million.
That's not much to write home about.
But
no, well, the focus is on Kenny because he's our star striker at the moment. So if you want to blame people for the focus being on him, blame those that have put us in that situation.
Our strikers, I've just got the club website up. Jota, Balakwisha, Yang, Iniacho, Yamada, Osman, Tenekti, Kenny, Maida, and Forrest are our forwards. That's who we've got listed.
Not one of them.
All right.
Our forwards.
Well, he did do well at some things. This was a moment when he does well to put Hatate through, but then his touch lets him down. Doesn't even get the shot in. Schmeichel's distribution. This is just after Schmeichel has kicked the ball to the guy on the right of the screen there. Like, what has happened to Schmeichel's distribution? Is he on the... Sometimes goalkeepers, you can see their decline really rapidly. Is that what we're witnessing here, Brian?
I think it's a culmination of everything. CCV being out, back three, Ralston's in the team, AJ, I just think the race is run with Casper, and I think he's, he seems to be increasingly angry at things and erratic, which was never him. But I do think that he's not the player he was after that injury for Denmark, and we are where we are with it. You suppose you look out there, Craig Gordon's still playing. Well, he's still playing for Scotland, but not for Hearts. It doesn't matter if you put in Donnarumma in nets at the minute. The whole I don't know, the whole thing needs. I said something in the comments last night about Martin brought the soul of the club back, and I think the soul of the club's gone now currently, and you could have Messi, Ronaldo, Jack Grealish, whoever in this club at the minute, and the way things are, I don't think any of them would get a tune,
Schmeichel, we know, has the ability to save shots on target. He's obviously to the tail end of his career, and we understood that. And that's, again, it's the pattern of the board, right? Bring in people that have once played for their national teams and put them in because our second and third goalies aren't good enough, and they're not going to get any better given that we've just sacked our goalkeeping coaches resigned.
Was Tony gone?
So is he not? I thought that's the fact that he'd resigned. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's okay.
Oh, no.
So we'll come back and someone can confirm if that's the case or not. So Martin O'Neill made a point about, and made it all jokey and lovely about how Schmeichel had, was doing well compared to his father.
Uh,
It's that confidence, right? And Schmeichel has no confidence in the defense, and so he gets under pressure, and he doesn't know how to distribute to whom, and if you've changed the system in front of him, how does he compensate? We can't, again. Yes, I know his feelings, but again, you're just putting people under pressure because we've paucity. Thanks, Steve. Paucity of a team. We have players being played out of position. We've got inexorable people injured, and I think a lot of our injuries are also compounded by the psychology of, why would I want to get back on that part? I want to be part of a successful team. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
So again, just taking one individual member of this team and saying it's on them or otherwise, we can't do it. We shouldn't do it. This is on the board. It starts at the board. There's been no ambition. This is on the board. And whatever we have to pay for and watch as customers just isn't good enough.
All right.
Let's
get through the game here. We've got stacks more pictures. We've really got to get on with it. Hatate down the right on 44 minutes. We're still in the first half. Puts a dangerous ball into the near post. Kenny not there. Chance for United here after a massive boot from the keeper. Okay, so that rounds out the first half. So like I say, at half time, I'm sitting there thinking, that was really good. We should be 2 or 3 goals up, and we've been wasteful, and that's what being a Celtic fan has been for the last couple of years. Having that thought in your mind. But recently, you can't have any confidence that the second half is going to mirror the first. So what I was thinking was, look, if they come out and do the same again, we will get those 2 goals, and that we're going to win this comfortably. But it could be a case of, it's probably going to be one of those games where afterwards Nancy is saying that he saw a good half and the second half was a different story, and that was where I would have put my money, honestly, at half time. And of course that's what happened. Came out second half, absolutely different story entirely. Brian, I know where you're at in the big picture, but watching that game, were you not a little bit buoyed by the first half?
I watched what I'm going to say. I didn't cheer on the goal. I'm looking at it. I didn't cheer on our goal when Naida scored. I'm seeing the bigger picture. I'm seeing that things need to change, and unfortunately, because the people in the club are not going to do anything, I'm almost resigned myself that we're going to lose till this guy goes, until there's further change, and I just can't get buoyed by it. I'm out. I'm sorry.
You're wanting us to lose?
I never want the club to lose, but for the greater good of the club, we need to get change, and I think it's the fans need to just stop going. That's it. That's where we are now. It's end game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like to say it. Breaks my heart. Celtic is everything to me, but this cannot continue.
Okay, we'll continue. We did into the second half, David. Ball over the top. Ralston getting twisted up in knots. It results with this shot from this relatively dangerous area, but that went high and over the bar. Trusty gets in and blocks an attempt on 47 minutes. I mean, Dundee United just came at us right from the off. And this was a shot from close range that Schmeichel did well to save with his legs, to be fair to him. And the ball could have gone anywhere. Now, this looked like a promising moment, but too much pace on the pass, and the keeper came out and collected. 54 minutes. And this is 55 minutes. This is where they get the goal. the ball breaks to United player after a big lump up into the box. And he sticks it in the far corner. David, your emotions at this time?
So it was kind of almost, I don't know that I reacted particularly to it, because from the get-go of the second half, we were pressed back by Dundee United. They understood through instruction from their manager to keep us, because we'd been playing that 3 at the back system, which should have become a 5, but then just became a collection of individual players pressed back and under pressure. And it took, I watched back the second half again to time it. It took us about 15 minutes to start moving forward. And as you say, there were still some chances, and we'll talk about, coming off the cross, the post, etc., from a header and whatever. It took us 15 minutes of concerted effort and pressure from Dundee United to start moving forward again. And I watched as our team tried to build from the back, and it just couldn't get the momentum going. So what we're left with was individuals trying to find space to be able to try and create opportunities, which actually came in the second half. They came. But again, our finishing let us down. So the first 15 minutes, we were awful, and you just knew, here we are again. This is the story. As you said, we won't be able to keep this momentum going. We're going to fall apart. And sure enough, it is. So we know, and Nancy has to take the blame now, we know our players cannot sustain his strategy for any length of time. They get exhausted because they're thinking too much about where it is that I need to be. If you looked at the players' faces in the second half, they were down. So we can go through this opportunity and incident by incident, but that's about the sum of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the goal, the first goal anyway, and then United break through on a long ball headed on. Schmeichel saves, did make a couple of saves, and then from the offside corner, United score again. Second goal, absolute.
Well, it was a brilliant goal though. It was an absolute worldly,
Great goal under no real pressure.
Yeah. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Celtic players in front of him.
Yeah. Acting as individuals and not as a collective, and completely not being able to apply the strategy that's been told them.
Can I ask a question, Gav? Has anyone heard Cal McGregor, come out and speak since the cup final? Cal's not going out to speak to the press, and it's a shocking indictment of the club captain. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying, as I believe, I would love Cal to be player manager with Maloney. But anyway, it's just.
Yeah, he's been very quiet, that's for sure. All right, let's carry on with the game then. I mean, there's not much else to show. Let me see. Bit awkward. Skies it. That's Shin Yamada's chance across the come in there from Scales, I think it was. Was it Scales? It doesn't matter. McCowan then sees the run. Oh, no, that was it. McCowan saw the run of Yamada, and then that was Yamada's finish. A little bit of invention from Yamada here. And then the ball eventually comes to him, and he tries to hit it with the outside of his right. Puts it wide. Jamesy puts in a cross. And Maeda must score this. Must score. But doesn't. I mean, what can you do about this? What must Nancy be thinking when he sees his strikers fail to nod home from a couple of yards out into an open goal, David? Do you feel you got to feel sorry for him to some extent, don't you? No matter what you think of him.
There's an inevitability of what's been going on right from the very start to have, look, isolating individuals and sort of saying they could be there to blame for moments in a game when it's clearly a strategy set out by the manager. Certainly from The second half, you could see it falling apart. Goes back up to the board. We won't go back over that tired old rhetoric again. But feeling sorry for everybody again. It's just not taking us any forward, and until something changes, tactically or otherwise, this is what we're going to see week in, week out.
Yeah, no, I'm sure Kieran's going to get a bit of pushback on this in the live chat, saying Nancy's in a situation not of his own making. So do have some sympathy for him. I mean, he hasn't helped the situation, of course, by coming in and trying to do so much, and by being the football philosopher and all that. And, you know,
I don't feel sorry for him at all. He's getting well paid to do a job. That's it, end off. And part of that job is to motivate the squad and to evaluate the squad, identify the needs of the squad, build relationships with the fans, build relationships with stakeholders, etc., etc. And unfortunately, he hasn't done it. And we look like a pub team at the minute. And I'm hearing things about training. There's levels of training have went down. I just don't think we need. I don't know what to do anymore, Gav. It's usually update enough, but yeah.
So I don't know whether or not we're in a situation, whether or not he's a tactical genius and we just don't get it, and the players aren't good enough to be able to support his vision. But it doesn't seem like that, and it's kind of Occam's razor. It goes back to what we've seen from anybody else across the city coming in and talking sort of poems around football and philosophy. It just doesn't work. You players need complete clarity about what it is that they're expected to do. So he's not helping himself there. I think he's been thrown under the bus by the club, the board. Whether or not he's just being belligerent or whether or not he's saying, well, I don't care. You guys brought me in. You took me from where I was, which was 7th or so in the MSL, I don't know. MLS, and brought me here. So, fuck yous. This is what you're getting. And until I get... Well, I mean, why wouldn't he... Well, okay, why is he not entitled to take that view? Put the money aside, right?
Yeah,
Put the money aside.
Entitled.
Why is he not entitled to say, you knew who I was, I've not disclosed anything. Why are you thinking that I can't play the way in which I do? It's tough. You've hired me. This is what you're getting. Fine. Sack me.
That is the very subject of a tweet that I saw, which I'll bring up now. This is Alexi Lalas. Do you remember him? The ginger American
USA
player.
94.
He says Nancy may just be wrong for Celtic, but that's on them. They knew they were getting a romantic, and if they didn't, then they're inept. Celtic doesn't care how you win or about any realities, challenges that may exist. You figure it out, or they will get someone who will. That was his take on it. So he's in there going, yeah, you came and got me, you studied me, you looked at me, and now I'm doing my thing. So
I don't buy into
I think
all
he
this.
is made of relatively... I think he's more steely than people give him credit for, actually, deep down. I get that impression.
Sorry, I haven't seen it. Is he the tactics board? Is that gone? Or is that made less obvious? Have we seen... Is that disappeared? Is he cottoned onto that?
I think he's probably keeping that under his seat a bit. Or in the changing room, you know. So Mahesh again is telling us that the underlying numbers are better than the actual outcomes. But you know, a lot of people aren't interested in that sort of thing. It's all about the outcomes.
Yeah. I chatted this girl up when I was 19, and it was all going well till Gav moved in. You know what I mean? That's where we are. We unfortunately. We need, and people are saying about, who are Celtic going to attract? If this, look what happened to Eric Ten Hag. Eric Ten Hag came into Bayer Leverkusen and was gone after 2 games. Liz Truss and the Prime Minister, people knew straight away this ain't working. gone. You have to make these decisions in business. You have to do this in life. Sometimes people are not a good fit, and unfortunately, because of the external circumstances, internal, and all the rest of it, Nancy is not the man we need at the minute. Martin O'Neill came in. Martin was a legend. He's won 2 European Cups. He's won umpteen trophies. He took Ireland to the World Cup, regardless of the Ireland thing. Brendan done the same, ex-Liverpool manager. Even Lenny won things. This guy's come in, and the red flag for me was whenever he came in and he looked at James Forrest, and I'm James Forrest. You're talking to the most decorated player in our club history, you know. So there's something there. Obviously there's the arrogance of him that he's got this gig, and he doesn't want to show any weakness. But sometimes humility and being a wee bit more grounded, an evolution, not revolution. But I think we're beyond that. I do.
Brian, I think we're stuck with it. I think we're stuck with it. I don't see what's going to happen. This board, one thing we can be absolutely sure about, not going to get rid of this guy. Not going to happen.
Can I ask a question? Why do you think Martin said that? Did you see the TalkSport interview with Jim White and Simon Jordan? Why did Martin bring that up? The conversation about the handover that took 10 minutes. Why do you think Martin chose to say that? Because he could have said, "Oh no, we just had a chat and moved it on," but he did say, he came out and said that. So obviously he cares about the club, Martin. You know. But why did he?
So it could have been that what he wanted to do was distance himself, like he'd rounded everything off beautifully and his own ego, although he talks about being 73 and not caring. I've done my thing. I've left everything in a good place. So I'm going to say, look, anything that comes next, not on me. I've done my bit. I'm off ski. So just to give you context, I did 15 minutes. So anything that this guy settled with, that's on him, not me. So that's a human thing to do, right? We've heard through the week that he'd mentioned to others that he was definitely up for staying around, but wasn't offered it. I think everybody's at that level is a bit cheeky, right? Even Martin O'Neill, he's not Saint Martin really. I think that's it. I think it's just I'm pulling it down here. The conspiracy theorists might say, well, this is all a plan and always has been to allow Sean Maloney to come in and be the boss after all and whatever else. I don't know. But if I was Martin, he would have seen what was going on before and after, and I would have distanced myself too.
But you look at Brendan got interviewed for his press conference from Saudi, and he was bigging up the Saudi league, and this is a real good quality team and all the rest of it. He had an opportunity that this Celtic, and he turned around and says, we've managed Liverpool and the institution that is Celtic. I know in the back of his mind that regardless of what you think of Brendan, and I sometimes give off about his self-awareness and the Gucci loafers and all the rest of it and Tom Ford shoes. But he had the club. He would never come out and say anything detrimental about the club. I don't think he would.
Brendan Rodgers wouldn't do anything to interfere with his long-term earning potential. So anything that issue he had with the board, he would have kept quiet anyway because he doesn't care.
All right. Listen, I want to move it on to some other conversations that have been happening since the game. Chris Sutton, you probably saw him interviewed after the game, and then he sort of repeated what he was saying on Twitter. He says, after that Maeda miss, you just wonder if it's not meant to be for willfriednancy. Bottom line is it's more the substandard players than the manager. It all goes back to a poor summer. Celtic look like a third place team at present. Well done to Jim Goodwin and Dundee United. I mean, I find that hard to argue with. Players were shocking. Here's a glasgowceltic. Begin to think our world-class board should have replaced Kyogo 12 months ago. It's interesting that it's been 12 months now since that happened.
So it's kind of indefensible. I mean, the only thing that we've been doing here is trying to defend individuals so they don't get a pile on. But if you stand back from it, it's been a disgraceful performance from the board, and not that we haven't pointed it out in a peaceful and respectful way over a long period of time, because that's what we've been doing. We've done managed decline over 2 years. It was a year ago we started talking about this, and we're talking about this as the way in which it's going. Very obvious to us. The board just failing to do anything about it, being bullied by a billionaire and his boy who only own 34%, are not actually board members. So they're being bullied because of the taking the wage and whatever else they feel about standing. Quite willing to sort of lose their self-respect in business terms in society, although maybe most of the guys that are up there are CEOs, sociopaths who don't give a shit, and it's really about the money. Who cares? This has been coming for the longest time. We've all called it. We now need to deal with it. The responsibility falls to us to do something about it in a peaceful way, of course. Stan Collymore, actually, a guy who rehabilitated himself and has been a brilliant voice in football, mental health for people and everybody else, did a fantastic. I don't know if you have that one, Gav, that's been doing the rounds.
Because Martin was like a father to me, father figure, that one. Funny enough, I met Stan when Leicester were playing Cliftonville, whenever Martin joined, and they were all in the Fly Bar in Belfast, and it was my birthday, and I managed to bump into Stan, sort of tried to pretend I'm one of the reserves, obviously a lot later in them days. But no, I said, Stan, would you ever go to Celtic? And he says, Jesus, Martin was like a father figure to me. He said, remember Stan standing there in a sarong with a pair of flip-flops, and he had a big tattoo there, like a sun or something. But that's what it feels like, and that's what that team need. Our team need a coach, a leader, a manager, a father figure, and unfortunately, Nancy's not that. Not at the minute. Not ever.
Nor do I genuinely, from my honest opinion, I don't think he's going to be. I think we've got a dud. I've been just trying to be nice and kind and trying to avoid all of this horribleness of people jumping on and social media and whatever else.
The manager of Celtic is a prestigious job, regardless of what you say. It's a historic club. It's everything, and it needs a special person to be manager of the club. We've had special people over the years: Tommy Burns, Martin, Brendan, Jock, Billy McNeil, and this guy has been put in situ by an incompetent board, and unfortunately the people that are feeling the pressure now are ourselves, because people don't have much in life, and they're taking that from us. But we will, as I said about 2 or 3 months ago, we will get through this, and we will get through this.
Well, what's going to happen? The board aren't going to be in any rush to get rid of him. Is there a world where they look at each other and they're like, oh, for Christ's sake, we really need to do something then. We're going to throw a ton of money at this in January, and we buy a bunch of good players, and Mahesh gets his wish. Don't sack the manager, change the squad.
I think that's
and and then he does bring in his players, and then things turn around, and we're all left scratching our heads at the turnaround. Is that a possible universe?
I think there's something. There's a excuse me, sorry. There's something about that. The MSL. Did I do it right this time? MSL.
MLS.
Players. MLS.
Laughing with you, David, not at you.
No, I don't care.
No.
My job, as well as yours, Brian. So
exactly.
Those players. So I looked into this because this has been coming up, whether or not he'd be able to bring in the players that he wants. The better players there will already have been on snapped up into long-term contracts, even though their full season and every other sort of end games is already finished this month. So I wondered whether or not that would be the game plan. Now, that might make some players available to him, and that's fine. But I think there's going to be a big focus on loan players, and they might spend a bit of money to bring in loan players. So whether or not they have caps on permanent players who come in their what was 2.5 years moved up to 5 years contracts, so that the sell-on can be bigger for Celtic players. I think they'll spend a bit of cash to bring in and make up the wage deficit for loan players. So I suspect what we might see is a combination of those things. Certainly Nancy will be able to go get some of his friends from the North American League, and then he will be able to spend a bit more than has been available to others on loan players. That's what my suspicion is, because you can't go to Europe in January. Most people are, midway through their leagues and need their players. So I think that's what we see. So I think there'll be a release of cash, but it will be short term, not long term.
What do you think, Brian? Have you any hope that Nancy has a future at this club?
I agree with David that what David says about what needs to happen, but the board are not really. I mean, the board had a late manager there, and they didn't back him. So why would they back a dud? I don't think it's. I don't know who there'll be a fall guy here. It'll have to be Tisdale. The way I would say it would be Tisdale and Nancy and all his crew go. Potentially Nicholson. I'd love to see it happen, but I can't see a way back for this guy. There's too much happened. There's too many things that he had an opportunity to do right. If he was coming out and showing a bit of humility, coming out saying, I don't need to prove anything to anybody. Well, actually, you do. You're managing Celtic Football Club. You're not managing a spar shop in the Ormer Road. You're managing an institution. So there's lots of things he could have done better. Unfortunately, in life, you only get one chance to make a first impression. And his first impression, regardless of what you say about the football, the tactics board, the trainers, the aloofness, the 10-minute, 15-minute handover, and throw into the mix the 4 defeats. Not looking good. I can't see a way back.
I want to ask a fundamental question. Who appointed him? So
Tisdale.
Was it Nicholson and Tisdale? They did it. I'm not buying it, man. There's a couple of possibilities. Dermot said, here's what you get, or he's made another move to do this. Now, if Dermot has decided that this guy is going to be the manager, then he doesn't move. If that's not the case and it's Tisdale, then it's on the board then to act quickly and decisively to say this guy's wrong movie is the common phrase now. Are our board going to do that? I don't see them doing it. I don't see this board moving. I don't see them doing it either.
So he's going to be around for a while. There's the January window coming up. So and as people in the chat like Mahesh and Andrew Galea are saying, they're referring back to Ange's first season and how we narrowly won the league just at the end of the league. Are we being guilty of just short-termism here? It's December. It's not even the turn of the year. A lot of football to be played.
Do you remember the Mowbray season?
A lot of things can happen. We could be sitting singing a very different tune in March with this guy still our manager and players in to play for his system. And we've worked through this difficult sort of crossover period.
The thing about Ange, you saw shoots of recovery. Go on. With Ange, you had the gravitas of a man who spoke to the fans, who you could see whenever the first game that they played against Hearts, and you could see what he was trying to do, the inverted fullbacks. I just see chaos. currently at the minute. And if you cast your mind back to the Mowbray season where we got Robbie Keane, Robbie Keane was a Premier League great when we had him, and he scored 20 plus goals, but we were ranked rotten across the club. And Mowbray lost his job after getting shinned 4-0. So I think we're in complete chaos at the minute.
Yeah. I think that, Brian, look, I was actually going to make the same point. I was talking to Gav about finding a video that we did specifically on Ange, and there's a book, We Never Stop. It was one of our friends, Hamish, who wrote the book, and we did a video about it, and then we did a full discussion about it a year ago. Gav, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very different, and the fans' reaction and support. If you remember, there was, who's the fat guy with the big round red face who's on
Alan Brazil.
That boy.
He says
and made a point of but he made a point of being I don't know if it's racist or otherwise, but made a point of messing with his name and saying, where do we find these people? I found that disgusting. And I think most Celtic fans found that disgusting. And then it was useful because everybody rallied around Ange Postecoglou because of not just that, but everything else. But Ange Postecoglou is a leader of men. He's been in the trenches for a very long time. Excuse me again. Sorry, folks. It's different. It's not the same thing. And I don't think we have the feeling that Nancy quite understands where he is and who he is in this. Now, if he is to be around, then certainly as fans, we have to just back him. We have to do whatever is necessary to try and shift the boat and give him support and do what's necessary. I do not want to be the look across the city and see what they've done when managers haven't quite fit. But I think we're in that situation. But let's do it, at least giving him an opportunity and not going after the guy. I don't think that's right because it's on the board.
I think Nancy has signed up to be a Celtic coach, whereas we want a Celtic manager. Right. A Celtic manager, I'm not talking about shirt and tie or whatever else. It's a lot more. He completely from day one, he says, "Oh, I'm not a manager, I'm a coach." Mm-hmm. We need, like or hate Rodgers, when Rodgers come out and says, he said, "I'm the only one communicating here. I'm the psychologist, I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other." But when you've got complete silence from Michael Nicholson and other members of the board and all the rest of it, and then you have a guy going, "Well, it's not," if people are hiding behind their titles, he's coming.
But I don't think Nicholson's a CEO. Do you think Nicholson's a CEO?
No, he's nothing. He's a
company secretary, probably a very good one. No, I think he's probably a very good lawyer, company secretary. I don't think there's any.
You need a charisma. Yeah, Alan Sugar, regardless of who you like him or hate him, he has a bit of charisma about him. Has a bit of Nicholson is lawyers aren't what you call very interesting people. Certainly, any lawyers I know are not very what you call they're life and soul of the party. You need to have that. You need to be able to communicate on all levels.
Very necessary, no question. Very necessary. But the role of
lawyers are necessary. Yeah, of course, everyone needs one. But could you imagine Michael Nicholson coming in? See how he sits and all that. Sorry for making it personal here, but he's. We need you in there, Gav. We need you. Get you in.
There
you
CEO.
Do it remotely.
To everybody else, Gav bosses us every day of the week in the background about who
we're still there,
Gav. How we appeal. Gav just bosses us all.
We'll still turn up,
right.
Right.
Well,
Gav, are you going after? What I want to know is, Gav, right, this morning, I don't know if anybody else, some of the guys in the chat were there as well. We have this wonderful other show, North America, And they literally went on for an hour and 45 minutes.
An hour and 45.
And it was
so let's not do
brilliant.
the same.
Brilliant. I thought Gav went, well, if you can do that, here we go.
No, I'm just going to wrap it up. Thank you both very much for all your thoughts. Next game, of course, is Celtic at home to Aberdeen on Sunday. So, we're just going to have to see what happens. It's not, it's beyond it's out with our control.
Out with being Scottish and being a Celtic fan, we have to stay, and there's no choice, and we'll be here. To everybody in the comments. Yes, go, Brian.
Final question. Do you think Cal's going to join Brendan and Saudi?
If I was Cal McGregor, I would take the money.
Yeah.
I would go.
I would do it.
And I don't see why he shouldn't. Yeah.
And I would give him a blessing.
I'll never have to worry about money again.
Okay, just time for a quick song here for Smell the Glove. No, I'm only joking.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
Come on. Take a 2 minutes. Anything.
Come on, Gav.
The only tune you're hearing is the outro theme tune. So thanks very much, everyone, in the live chat. We'll be back on Monday to pick over the bones of Celtic Aberdeen, whether the mood music has changed at all, or is the funereal dirge just getting louder in our ears. We'll have to see. So you've got that to look forward to. Isn't that exciting? All right, lads, keep your peckers up.
On the picture of Gav at the school formal, which I'll try and get for you.
I'm not putting that out. No, we will. That is for internal use only. All right, lads, take it easy.
Hail, hail.
See you on Monday.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.